Welcome, welcome, welcome to Class 5 of the Summer Prosperity Series 2018 at Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. I am so glad you are here. So, I have questions. Are you prepared to prosper?
Yes!
Are you ready to have what you want to have?
Yes!
Are you ready to go where you want to go?
Yes!
To buy what you want to buy?
Yes!
To do what you want to do?
Yes!
Are you ready to be who you were meant to be?
Yes!
Get up off your butts and we'll do our treatment for prosperity together aloud.
I do know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Once more.
I truly know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Yes. Yes. So here's the deal. If you are in the increased income program, if you have demonstrated increased income, if you have your type check ready to go, come and line up and share your increased income with the class. Who's coming up? All right, Liz is coming
She's not that tall.
So I'm blessed by being a practitioner, and that means I get blessed with tithes. Thank you.
Hi, well, let's see. Today I've had 2 other music students contact me, and so now I'm doing that on Skype to bring in extra income, which is great. And I got 2 more private practice clients for my psychotherapy practice.
So, last week we won the lottery! And actually, I didn't come up here because I thought it was not significant enough. But it was $10. But this week I'm giving the $10 plus the whole $10 and another 10 here. So I also want to share though there's been a shift. And that's the biggest thing I'm excited about because, being in this course, there's been a shift because my husband's contract ended in the beginning of June. So I was like, well, what are we going to do? We're internet marketers, so it took us like June and July to kind of figure it out. Now, we got such clarity. So I'm really excited about what we're going to do. Hopefully he's too. And so the clarity and the enthusiasm, that's I know is what builds the momentum. So I'm so excited about what's coming forward. And I also just happened to have coffee with somebody, and they purchased, I'm writing 10 video scripts for them for their, she's a national speaker and she lives here. And then I'm also, you know, we're doing a website for someone. So these are side gigs that we're gonna do. So that all, you know, I don't have the check yet, but they said yes. So I'll be back up there next week. Come on.
I did some errands for a friend and they gave me money, and so here's your part.
So I went to VA to have my eyes checked, and I knew that I would have the exam and I would get a prescription to go buy glasses. And then I found out that I get both pairs free. So they can, like Rhonda, I didn't think what I got was very significant, but I got a free yoga class last week for my birthday, so that accounted for something. And I had some old tickets for Biltmore State, and my niece came to visit, and they were from like 2015, and they were still used, but now they're like $25 higher. But the manager gave it to me.
Hello. I'm still not doing numbers, but I do have things to show. My beautiful goddess here updated my Thai blog. If you're not aware of it, I'm happy to share it with you. You can look at last month's, there's lots of gaps in between the lines. And this month, just about every line is filled in, so yay. And I've already typed because I PayPal'd it.
This isn't exactly money, but in the last year, because of prosperity and because of the teachings, my FICO score went up 161 points in the last year, and that's worth some money.
I like Linda ran some errands for a friend of mine, and she gave me a fee, which I didn't expect, and so I'm giving part of that to you. And like Jane, I found several dimes and stuff, so I'm donating that.
I got a $75 photography job, a $100 dog sitting job, and a $200 tip. Exact change, so there's a little extra.
Anybody else? Never think that your demonstrations are too small. Never discount them. Because what you're doing is, hello. There you are. What you're doing is establishing in consciousness the fact that things show up for you. You are not passed by. The universe shows up for you. And every time you see that, every time you acknowledge that, every time you give energy to that, the universe shows up more for you. And Emerson said, there is no greater small to the soul that maketh all. So whether it's a penny on the ground or whether it's $1 million, the only difference between the two is you. There's no difference to life. Life is giving. So what we want to do is we want to open our consciousness to be able to accept greater and greater levels of good. How many of you are doing your treatment for prosperity every day? How many of you are doing it more than once a day? Good, 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 good. Why do we do it more than once a day? To believe, yes. So that we don't think thoughts of negativity, we think thoughts of prosperity. And what we want to do is train ourselves to think the thoughts that we want to experience. And so we've been going over this treatment and over this treatment. We've been yelling the treatment. We've been singing the treatment. We've been dancing the treatment. I've been doing this treatment since I lived in Miami. And I've been teaching it here at this center since we were in a trailer out in a cornfield, and people have been manifesting increased income. But I don't just want to run through it. I want to go through it slowly tonight and really look at what it says. It starts off with I, and then we say our own name. Barbara, you say your own name. We're not treating for someone else. We're not treating world peace. We're not treating an end to cancer. We're not treating for our dear Aunt Bertha. We are treating us. We are learning how to demonstrate in our lives for us. Laura, will you turn the kitchen light off and shut that door for me? And what is it that we're treating? We are treating to know, not to guess, not to hope, not to wish, just wishing and hoping and thinking. No, that's a crop. You don't get anything with that. What we do is we know. We are treating ourselves to know, to believe, as Anna said, to know that God is the source of all supply. Wow, that's a big idea. That all supply, whether it's air, whether it's clothing, shelter, money, food, whatever the supply is, it's coming from the realm of spirit. There is a spiritual substance out of which all supply comes. And so it's not something that is anti-spiritual. And I don't know about you, but I remember when I picked spirituality up again, I was like 15 or 16, I bought my first mantra from TM. They were in the selling of mantra businesses, and back in the mid to early 70s or 60s?
Not 70s.
No, Matthew was born in 74.
Oh, okay.
So no, this was in the 60s. The mantras were $100. That was a lot of money for a 16-year-old kid to cough up for a mantra. But I wanted the mantra. I hung out at the yoga ashram a lot, and I bought into this idea that says spirituality and materiality are different. And in order to be spiritual, then I will proudly be poor. Because those other kind of people are materialistic and they have all the good stuff. So I'm not going to want that good stuff because I don't have it. And then I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for being so spiritual. And then in hindsight, as I got older, I realized that that was very close to my traditional Christian upbringing that said that we're not greedy, we're not selfish. Those are evil, sinful things. And I was still playing that same game that if I want to get brownie points in heaven, wherever that is, in the later years it was if I want to get enlightened by next Tuesday, then I can't be attached to materiality. Just like I couldn't be greedy and selfish as a kid if I wanted to get into heaven. Same game, different words. So what does it mean when God is the source of everything? That everything is made out of the substance of spirit. And then we take another bold leap into land where I had never gone before. Money is God in action. That's heresy. What happened to money is the root of all evil? Well, he never said that. He said the love of money or the obsession with money could lead you into a sense of separation because that's all that evil was. And notice that Jesus, if we're going to talk about Jesus for a moment, he had a treasurer. Who was Judas? He was the treasurer. What do you have to have a treasurer? Money. Judas kept the money. Jesus had a robe with no seam, a seamless garment. That means they had to weave it into arms and whatever it was. Very, very expensive. He didn't go without. If he was fasting, it was because he wanted to fast. Otherwise, he would go into a town and people would say, oh, come into my house, let me put oil on you and feed you, and we'll have a party, and he'll turn water into wine and everything will be cool. He didn't preach poverty. He didn't preach poverty. And this idea that says we're not supposed to be rich is, for me, it was a real basic idea inside of me. When I realized that it was okay for me to want what I wanted anyway, but I had been denying that I wanted it, when I realized I could want that and then I could have it, there was a part of me that was afraid the earth was going to open up and swallow me. Because I had always been so indoctrinated to say, no, leave the last cookie, let somebody else have it, there are children starving in China, we shouldn't want, we shouldn't take, we shouldn't have. Can you imagine if the trees out in the parking lot felt like, oh, I grew a lot last year, I should not spread my branches to the sun. I think I'll let this other little tree come on over and I'll just not have leaves this year. And then I won't suck up any moisture either because, there's a drought. And although I could go down deep and get it where the water is, maybe I should leave that for someone else. What would that tree be doing? Dying. We are not here to die. We are here to live. And if you're alive, you're going to want stuff. If you're alive, you're going to want to grow, to expand your experiences, to live more fully, to live more richly, to be blessed. You're going to want that, and to make peace with that is very, very important. Not only to make peace with it, but to embrace it and say, I am here to be rich. I was born to be rich. I've spent my whole life about being rich. I'm going to enjoy everything in my life. I'm going to live the rich life, appreciate it, be grateful for it, and enjoy it. That's what I'm going to do. Instead of, well, I didn't want to bring my Mercedes or my Lynn's Jag, into the parking lot because people might think funny things of me. No, man, Linda, a freaking helicopter out there. Let's lift up the consciousness for ourselves and each other that say, we can have this. We are meant to have this. We are supposed to have this. And then we open up our ability to accept it because truly the universe is right here going, April, I've got it all for you. I've got it all for you. I've got it all for you. And all we're doing is opening up and accepting it. I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply and that money is God in action. Just go for that. Go for that together. I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply and that money is God in action. I was so impressed with John. Not only did he put the money in his mouth, but he burned the $100 bill. Money is God in action. It is an energy. It is a flow of life. And when we are open and accepting it, we're going to have more of it. When we're not afraid of it, when we're not feeling guilty about it, we're going to have more of it, and we deserve to have more of it. I know my good is here now. Not coming, not tomorrow, not maybe if I meditate enough, take enough classes, maybe if I do good deeds, my good will come, maybe not all of it, maybe just a little bit. No, my good is here now. Right here and right now, you have as much good as you ever will have because you have it all. You don't have to wait another moment. You don't have to do anything to get it other than open to it and take it. It's like we are standing at the buffet of life and I'm saying to you, pick up the food and put it in your mouth. Pick it up and put it in. Eat it. It's for you. I don't know. I don't know if I should. Really, should we be eating with our fingers? Isn't that crass? Eat it. Eat it. Grab it. Eat it. Put your face in it. Eat it. And when nature does that, we call it healthy. We call call it vibrant and alive and strong and growing. We go, wow, look at that field. It's growing so fast. That's because they put their mouth in the buffet and they're sucking up everything they can to be who they have come here to be. That's our job. I know that my good is here now. Say that.
I know that my good is here now.
Now. Right here, right now. Period. End of story. If it's not here now, it'll never be here. And not only is the good that you can imagine here now, but all of everything is here now. I'm a big fan of precious metals. So when I say my good is here now, I see stacks of gold. In coins, in bars, I see stacks of gold. That is for me. It doesn't take anything away from anybody else for me to have mine. That's mine. It was created specifically for Barbara Waterhouse. It is my job to take it. It's my job to accept it. It's my job to have it. It's my job to wear it well. That's my job. Not to be pansy-assed and wishy-washy about, well, do I want it, do I not want it, can I have it, do I deserve it, oh, what am I going to do when I get it? No, just take it. That's our job. I am so rich. I'm not a little rich. I am so rich. Just say that part.
I am so rich.
Say that again.
I am so rich.
I am so rich. Because I have big piles of gold around me. I am so rich because my face is in the buffet. I am so rich and so full. Start from I am so rich.
I am so rich and so full.
Can you just feel that in your body and in your energy field? Say it again.
I am so rich and so full.
To me, it feels like I'm a fountain and it's coming out and overflowing all around me. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money. We're not talking about time. We're not talking about ideas. This class teaches us how to master money. That I have an abundance of money to spare and to share. Now, we're sparing it before we're sharing it. That means we have more than enough, and we are sharing it. We can share it with the center, we can share it with each other, we can share it with a person down the street, we can share it with our family. I was talking to an insurance salesman last week, and he said that before he was in insurance, he was in real estate, and he just felt that it was his calling, his spiritual calling to buy houses for all of his family members to make sure that they would be okay. And so all of his cousins, brother-in-laws, all of these people, he bought them a house because he wanted his family secure in Asheville. And he was saying how he was really glad he did because property values have gone way up, and now everybody has a lot of equity in those houses. To spare and to share. You can share it anywhere. But when you are letting it go, you're also setting law in motion. We don't get more by holding on. You don't get more by holding your breath. You don't get more by not having your heart beat. Hold your breath and don't have your heart beat, you're called dead. You thrive and you are alive by letting it go from a sense of fullness that you have more than enough so that you have enough to share, to spare and to share. Is it spare and to share? Spare and to share. Today and always. Let's take that from the top. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. Let's do that again. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. Yeah, David's getting into it. Yeah. This is the truth. prosperity. I'm not going to teach you how to demonstrate $1 and then leave you, and that's all you've got. Prosperity is a consciousness. Prosperity is a way of life. Prosperity is all around you. It's not just one thing. So I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. Perfect happiness. I don't want you to have money and be miserable. I don't want you to have money and be sick. You don't have to choose. Well, if I want money, that means I've got to sacrifice something. That means I've got to give something up. No, it doesn't. It means that you get more, because the consciousness that accepted the money accepts more and more of other things. You could add other things to true prosperity. What else could you add to that?
Love.
I know that true prosperity includes perfect love.
Health.
It's got health in there, yes.
Freedom.
Freedom, perfect freedom. Oh, you can do this. What does true prosperity includes? Perfect joy.
Creativity.
Perfect creativity.
Compassion.
Perfect compassion.
Right livelihood.
Perfect right livelihood. Perfect wisdom.
Fun.
Perfect fun. Now, those of you who are struggling with this, look at your limitations. Well, Barbara, you've already gone from money to now you've got health and happiness on top of money, and now you want us to come up with more?
Yeah.
More is never enough. It isn't. It isn't. It was never meant to be enough. What are we going to do when we've had enough air? Okay, that's enough air. It's never enough. It was never meant to be enough, because it's all about cycles. It's all about spinning the energy. It's all about setting out into spiritual law and having it come back, and setting it out and having it come back, and setting it out and having it come back. And you just start spinning that energy, and it goes faster and faster and bigger, and there is no end to it. You're expanding, you're growing, you're accepting, you're living. I think that we stood and probably in some very spiritual, competitive way fought to get in on planet Earth. We said, I want to go, no, I want to go, no, I want to go. Well, there's only one incredibly dysfunctional, alcoholic, baby boomer family left. I'll take it, I want to go. You know you did. So since we're here, this is what we wanted, and it's so important to me to smell the smells, to taste the tastes, to see the sights. I love that. Listen, you've been to all 50 states?
Yes.
All 50 states. And you're an international traveler, because she wants to see this planet that she incarnated on. I want to experience things. You are supposed to. You didn't win the prize by showing up here just to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do what I wanted to do. No, at a soul level, you want it. You want to do it, you want to have it, you want to be it, you want to go there, you want to experience every moment of this life. And in our culture, to do that, it takes money. So be at peace with the money. Celebrate the money. I like to take large amounts of cash. Now, it's interesting, those of us who were raised on cash, and maybe not so much everybody in the room, but those of us who were raised with cash being the real amount of currency, it does something to our subconscious mind. And so I've always taught classes to take large amounts of cash. Now, they can be $1 bills, because the subconscious isn't going to know the difference. I like to go to the bank and say, can I have your best bills, because this is a gift. It's a gift to me, but I don't have to tell them that. And if you see any that are dirty or rumpled or torn or anything, give them back, and they'll find you new ones. And then take that money and feel it, smell it, stuff it in your pockets, put it in your sheets and roll around on it. Pick it up and throw it up in the air and watch it come down on you. Play with the money. And when you do that, you're opening up pathways in your brain that says, money's everywhere. It's in my pocket, it's in my car, it's laying all around my house, it's in my bed. I have so much money. And then that is what's created. It doesn't take a huge amount of money to go out and do that. Take $100 and turn it into $1 bills and play with it. I like to roll around in it. We've done some crazy things with Ed Weedens with $1,001 bills at a time and just really played with them. So play with your money. Get over the hang up that says, oh, it's money. How many of you freaked out when John burned that $100 bill? It's $100 what? They're not gonna have it. It's $100 bill. Oh my God, it's $100. There it goes. He just burned $100. It's just $100. So what? There are so many more $100 bills. There is so much money in the world that I think the last figure I heard was every person on the planet could get $4.3 million. Wow. There is so much money in the world. There's so much lumber in one forest in Russia that could build a mansion for every man, woman, and child on the planet. There's so much food that it rots away. There is so much. I'm not going to get into the distribution of it, but it's there. It's up to us to open up to it and accept it. Let's do it together. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. Yes, you get to have it all and everything else. Perfect freedom, perfect love, perfect joy, perfect right livelihood, perfect relationships, perfect time. Whatever it is, you get to have it all. Say that, I get to have it all. I get to have it all.
You can almost put a little line in there after each paragraph says that this isn't easy yet, go back to the one above.
This word, it's all about the word. This is a teaching of the word. This word, which I speak in faith.
No.
What's up with faith? What's up? You gotta have faith. Have a little faith. This word, which I speak in faith. Have you ever needed something and it showed up?
Yes.
Yes. Of course, everyone has had whatever they needed show up. And if at the time we didn't think so, it all worked out later. This word, which I speak in faith, knowing that the universe is going to bring me all this great good stuff, knowing, believing, knowing, accepting, this word, the power of the word, which I speak in faith, knowing, now activates universal law. This is so important. We are a teaching of the word and the law. We are a teaching of how to demonstrate and manifest things and experiences in our lives. There is a law that takes our word and makes miracles happen. It makes everydayness happen. We've had so many things that have been in the realm of the impossible that have become possible through the speaking of the word and the activation of spiritual law. When we speak our word, something happens. That's why I'm such a stickler of don't say that. Don't say that. Come back into the universe of positivity. Come back into what you want. Come back, Abraham would say, come back into alignment. Don't say what you don't want. Say what you do want. And have a little faith that there really is a spiritual law that's going to be set in motion and you're going to get stuff back from it. The more you do that, the more faith you have. The more you hear about other people's stories. Line them up with the microphone. Story, 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 story. Money showed up, money showed up, money showed up, money showed up. The more faith that we have, the greater our faith, the more our consciousness opens up into being able to accept all the good that's saying here, 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 here. And we're going, yes. Say yes.
Yes.
Say it again.
Yes.
And when that happens, there is is a connection. Call it the law of attraction, all of those laws that John talked about yesterday. Whatever it is, stuff happens and it's here. It's right here. And we get it because we were meant to get it. And we get excited, and we're supposed to be excited. We're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be living from that high state of excitement and happiness and joy, and having life just be a miracle and magical experience every moment of the day. We were not created to be depressed. Don't do that. Remember what Brian Byro said at his board breaking workshop. He said, get up, stand up, look up, smile, and move. And if you do that, it will shift any energy that you've got going on into this happy, positive possibility thinking. That's up to you to do that. And I accept the results. I don't deny the results. I don't discount the results. If I see a penny on the ground, I don't go, oh, that's just a penny, that's not worth my time. That's God showing up as a penny for me. It's part of my pile of gold. Yes, I'm going to take that. Yes, I'm going to accept it. Yes, I'm going to do the happy dance out in the middle of the parking lot and celebrate that, because if I can demonstrate a penny, I can demonstrate $1 million, and I am experiencing that creative flow of life. Now, for those of you that are going, no. You're going to die. You're going to die poor and miserable. Don't do that. Do you know how lucky you are to be sitting in this room listening to me right now, telling you how to live the rest of your life excited and happy and prosperous and joyful? You're amazingly lucky. Yes, Drew.
I still get pennies from heaven almost every
Yes.
day.
Of course. Of course. Yes. This word which I speak in faith knowing. Let's repeat it.
This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results.
Get your arms out there. And I
accept the results.
I'm accepting the results. Get it. You're not going to be closed down. You're going to be wide open, because life is going here, 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 here. Boy, the traditional Christians are getting it. They're getting it. They're saying that we're doing believing prayers. That God is busy giving us everything that we want right now. Yes. Yes. That's what we are doing. We're accepting that and having it in our hands so that we can stand up here and say, this is what happened to me. This is the $4,000 that I got. This is the $10,000 that I got. This is the $1 million that I got. This is the penny that I got. Yes. It is all the exact same demonstration. I bless all that I have, and I bless the increase. Yes. Say it.
I bless all that I have, and I bless the increase.
Now, most people are taught, count your blessings, be grateful for what you have, which is great, but then they stop there. No, we're going to bless the increase. We're going to bless all the moreness of it, because we are meant to have more. Nature doesn't stop. Those trees out there will continue to grow and grow. We have a 450-year-old oak tree up in the upper parking lot. It's huge. It didn't get to 20 years and say, well, I think I've gone far enough in life. I'll just go ahead and just slow down and stop. No, it's every year. I'm going to crowd out anybody that tries to get by me. I'm going to suck up all the moisture I can. I'm going to live to the fullest. And it's huge. We're meant to be huge. We're meant to do that. Our soul doesn't say, oh, that's enough light. That's enough energy. Oh, that's enough living. No, it just shines bright. That's the way it is with money. So many people can't make the shift between spirituality and materiality. They're all the same thing. There's only one. God shows up as money, and shows up as money specifically for you. Particularly for you. bringing together all things in time and space to have it pop in your lap. And it's your job to accept it. It's your job to take it. Let's say it again. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. Okay, you got two spaces so far where you're opening up your arms. One is I accept the results, and then it's I bless the increase. Get a little energy going on here. Get that energy in. There you go. And I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Because I stand up here and I visualize everyone in the class every single time I say that.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes. I can't bless me and not bless you. We are one and the same. You are another myself. So I'm going to bless you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to know that you have so much money that you're standing up here going, I need a lawyer, I need a CPA, I need a financial consultant. If anybody has anybody, could you see me after class? That's where I want you to be. I want you to hire people to help you with your money because you have so much that you're in a realm that you're not trained for. And that's where you get people that are. And I know that we now prosper together in every way. I know that we now prosper together in every way. Perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect happiness, perfect freedom, perfect love, perfect time, perfect everything. In every way. We don't have to say, I got that so I can't have this. It's all about every way. Every way. That's our job, to prosper in every way. Let's take it from the top. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. In the end, I give thanks for this good, and so it is. Yes, that's what you're saying. You're not just running through it fast. You're not just doing, okay, that's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Listen to what you say. Sometimes I whisper this treatment. Sometimes I do it silently. Sometimes I do it very loudly. Sometimes I'm talking to myself, like another person, talking to myself. Can you imagine if we had, as children, had the idea that God is the source of all supply, everything comes from God. That means it's all good, it's all pure, it's all perfect, it's all for us. There is no bad stuff out there that we shouldn't have. It's all for us. And money is the action and flow of spirit in our lives. Could you imagine that every time a child got an allowance, this is the action and the flow of God in your life. When you spend it, understand that God is moving through you in this spending of money. And what you're getting back is God informed. Because there are some people in this world that are really hung up about money. And I don't want us to be that. I want us to be in tune with money, in sync with money, having fun with money, playing with money, rolling around with money, having so much money that we're thinking, well, should we go to Hawaii or should we go to Canada? Do you want to take a cruise? I'm buying. Who wants to go? That we have so much money that ideas about payments and things like that are just in such a different universe. If we want something, we go pay cash for it. You want a car? I have found that when I bought my last Mercedes, being able to stand there and peel off $100 bills while the person was talking about price and I was putting out what I wanted to pay. He said, you think that big stack of $100 bills is going to impress me? I said, yes. He said, you're right. That's the same amount of money as if I wrote a check. But being friendly with money, there's an energy to that. There's an acceptance of that. That there's something real about that. I want you to be on such intimate terms with money that you're sleeping with it. That you are fondling it. That you're kissing it. That you're rubbing it all over. That you're having fun with money. And as you open up to that idea that money is a good thing, money is a blessing, that whatever God is, God wants you to be rich, the same way that God wants the trees to be rich, that the flowers are rich, that life is intended to be rich and wealthy. That's what we are supposed to bring into form. And when I teach this, I get very excited about it because I have seen people go from poor to rich over this summer prosperity class. I have seen people who thought they were stuck, backed into a corner, didn't know how to get out of it, learn how to create money. I mean, just the bag, and this was a rumpled paper bag shoved under a bush in the Montfort district. I think it was on Montfort Street. And what brought her eyes to look at that? What is that under that bush? And when everybody else had walked by. And then to have the wherewithal to stop and go, what is in here? It's a bag of money. It's a bag of cash. Thank you. What does that? It opens someone up to say, I really can have money pop out of the blue. I can have the faith that the deal's going to go through, the contract's going to work out, that my life is going to work out, that I can have the things that I want to have. You know, this idea of deity is not a sadistic SOB up on a cloud that says, Dakota, go to Maui. And Dakota goes, oh, I think I'm supposed to go to Maui. And then God goes, not for you. How sick is that? We have a force of livingness in and through and as us and everything else that says, Dakota, go to Maui. And in the saying, it's bringing everything that Dakota needs to go to Maui. Everything that she needs. Because there is no empty spot in a unity. That you cannot have a desire for something and then not have it exist. And not have it exist in its totality. It has to exist every time you think it. That's why we keep singing the peace song. Because we're going to sing it till it comes forth. Till we can all accept it because it's here. You can go to Maui. You can go to Hawaii. You can do the life that you want to do. It's already right here. I am so excited and enthusiastic about this because I have watched people totally change their lives. And I've known people with a lot of money who are just as poor as somebody living in the project. Oh, I don't have enough. You've got millions of dollars. I don't have enough. No. What we want to do is we want to open, accept it, not be afraid to give it away, to spare, to share, today and always. We want to be in that flow, and it is my job as your cheerleader to do anything that I can to get you moving along that path, because I love this teaching. I love this teaching. I found it on welfare, food stamps, giving plasma twice a week to feed my 3-year-old child. I found this teaching and it totally transformed my life. I want you to have that. I believe in this teaching. And so some people say, oh, Barbara Waterhouse with the big hair and the big mouth. You bet. I got the big hair, I got the big mouth. Because I'm not going to stop talking about that which can free each and every one of us. It is my commitment. It's not my job. I could sit up here and just be very passive about, you prosper. No! What a waste that would be. When I think about things that I love, I get filled with this excitement. When I think about the books that are going to go up on the website and the more books that are going to go out on Amazon and the people's lives that are going to be touched, when I think about all that, I get excited because that's what I am here to do. What excites you? What are you enthusiastic about? What are you just cooking with? What is it? And then let that energy come forth from you. Let yourself be excited. Let yourself get poked fun at. Let yourself take a risk, step out of the box, and do something different in life. And then what I want you to think about, it came to me through the Wallace Wattles book, The Science of Getting Rich, which is exceptional. And if you want to hear the very first book that I recorded, and I feel like it was my best work, go to the website and download the audio version of The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, read by Barbara Waterhouse. I was standing up there in the sound booth going like this and just being so excited about it. And one of the things that Wallace Wattles says is, while you are reading this book, don't read anything else. You can read other things later. But while you are studying this material, commit to studying it. Commit to doing it. Look at all of the things he says. You gotta overfill your place. There is a thinking stuff, which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. To be able to really ponder those ideas and to focus on them and to be with them. He says, just commit to that while you're doing it. If you're gonna stop, then stop the whole thing. But don't dilute it with a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Focus on it. And so what I want to encourage you to do for the next few weeks, because we only have a few weeks left of the class, but please do your treatment for prosperity forever, is to really focus on it and don't get distracted. Let yourself get into that feeling. Get excited about it. How excited do you get when someone comes up and gives you $1,000? How excited do you get? Get excited about it. Get excited about it. Yes, do the happy dance. So many times we get what we want and we're happy about it and then we let it fade. Howard Thurman wrote this beautiful piece of prose called "Keep Fresh Before Me the Moments of My High Resolve." That when it was fresh, I would have fought anyone to the end. I'm totally paraphrasing. But instead, I let it slip away a little bit at a time by not paying attention to it, by getting caught up in the mundane things of life until it was gone. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Have high resolve to get rich. Laura.
So I moved in an apartment. I didn't have dishwasher. So I didn't have a dishwasher for 5 years. And I got a dishwasher, and still every time I turn on the dishwasher, I'm like, I'm gonna have clean dishes.
Yay!
Like I still love it.
Yes.
And you prosper. Yes, you do. I was on a vision quest 4 days and 4 nights with no food and no water. I've never taken a drink of water after that I didn't relish water. Water is so precious. So allow yourself to appreciate it. Don't just go, oh, this should have been more. No. Wow, look at what that is. Oh my God, look at that. I'm so excited. I get to have clean dishes. I get to have money. I get to thrive in life. I get to go out. I get to do things. I get to have fun in life. That's where you're supposed to be. Fenwick talks about enthusiasm, and he speaks of it in the sales realm. And that if you're not an enthusiastic salesperson, you're not going to sell anything. So learn your material. Be familiar with it. Know how it works. And then be enthusiastic about it. Tell everybody you know about how you're demonstrating money. Learn your material. Understand it. Get familiar with it. Spend your time. Commit to it. And then let that enthusiasm come out. When you demonstrate anything, a dime, tell somebody, call somebody up and say, I got a dime. Man, I got a dime. It just materialized right out of thin air. It's a dime. It's a freaking miracle. Do that. And then watch how it grows. Watch how you open up to it. Watch how that energy, it's a law of attraction. Watch how that energy goes out and it just starts bringing all this good stuff into you because you're not dead. And I don't want you to die. I want you to live. And if you're going to live, you might as well live fully. You might as well live richly. You might as well be successful and prosperous and happy and joy-filled because that is who you are meant to be. That is what you were created to do. And it is my job, probably until my dying breath, to be able to say, you can have this. You were meant to have this. You were supposed to have this. And I have a particular belief that we, in 2018, in the United States of America, have an obligation to have this, to demonstrate to the woman in Africa with 12 kids and nothing that she can have it too. Because if we give up with all of this going for us, if we can't make that jump to really live the life of our dreams, what the hell hope does anybody else have? This is our job. You want a spiritual purpose? Your spiritual purpose is to prosper. It's to be rich. It's to live the good life. And if you want to give all your money away to people in Africa, you can do that. Notice that Bill Gates had to have money to give it away. Warren Buffett had to have money to give it away. And he's not giving it to his kids. He's giving it away while he's still alive. That's one of the things I've studied well. You can give your money away after you're dead and trust that it goes where you want it to go. You cannot give it away and then let whoever adjudicates your estate deal with it. Or you can give it away while you're alive and you can have a say in what happens to it. Really wealthy people give their money away while they are alive so they know what happens to it. Isn't that fascinating? You gotta have some money to give away. So your job is to get the money and then do whatever you want with it. Buy a yacht, just go around in gold diamond shoes. I don't care what you do, that's your business. Or give it all away, it doesn't matter. But you have to have money first or you are forever at the effect of poverty. And the difference between prosperity and poverty is 1 cent. You either have enough or you don't. And if you don't, then you are bowing down to the God of money, which is what I believe what Jesus meant when he said the love of money, the obsession with money. You're obsessed with money when you don't think you have enough. The obsession with money is the root of all evil, or that would be, is the not living part of life. So don't be obsessed with it, be in love with it. Enjoy it, befriend it, celebrate it, and watch it come into your life in greater and greater amounts in ever expanding ways from many different sources. Watch how money just shows up, because Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word, which I speak in faith knowing, now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
So Pegatha is going to make an announcement. Pegatha.
Hello again, everybody. As I've told you before, I would like to start a study group. And, yeah, I guess not. Lynn Villa has graciously offered her home at 11 o'clock on Saturdays. So if anybody is interested, please contact me, and or just plan to join us at 11 o'clock on Saturday. And we'd love to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pegatha. So you're all getting a lot out of this?
Oh, yeah.
Is this valuable information?
Yes.
All right. It was interesting. I was reading the material for tonight, and some of his stories were just so dated. And I thought, Can people get past this? You know, but truly the base information is incredibly valuable. So thank you for confirming that that's so great. So moving along, Barbara actually presented in her presentation tonight, secret 9 and 12. So we're going to do 10 and 11 now. Okay, we're going to start with self-control. First thing I want to say about self-control is it doesn't mean that it's something that you want to use to control yourself. It's not that kind of control. It's actually about the self, which is you, controlling your outcome. That's what self-control is really about. It's not about behavior control. It's about doing what needs to be done. It is actually about behavior control, but it's not just a rote thing. This is really an idea that all of us should look at, especially. You have an idea what that is?
The attic in the attic.
What?
You don't hear that?
That's it, in the speakers.
Yeah, I hear it.
That one over there.
That's both of them.
Yeah.
It's that one for you because you're over there. So what I want to share with you are my ideas on self-control. We have a number of things that I want to share about that. But the truth is that we as human beings, all over the world, Barbara is becoming so techy.
She really turns you on.
I have no problem with that. That's a good thing.
I accept it.
All right. Self-control. We all have dreams. Many of us have plans. Many of us have plans for what's going to unfold in our lives. But it really does take some clear intention and clear action to bring about things in our lives. Now, I don't want to say that we individually have to do everything to make something so in our lives. That's not true. But we create the impetus to move forward. It's our job to be at the helm, to be in charge, to know what's going on. It's our job to guide the course. That doesn't mean that all the wonderful things that happen simply because of your intention aren't happening. They are. But how real is an intention if you state it and then go sit down on the couch and watch TV for endless hours? Obviously, you're not really living your intention. So the idea of self-control was Fenwick's way of saying, you know, give this some energy and bring it about. Don't allow the winds to impact what you're doing. You do it. You make it happen. And you do that by being disciplined and being focused on where you're going. So, I have come up with 10 strategies for developing self-control. You know me and my list. I'm always trying to create a list. So here we go. We're going to start right at the top of the list with the first one, cultivate a can-do attitude. Now this is something real. It's like average people have a challenge and they think they're done, or they think it's going to be really hard. I hear people all the time say, oh, you know, it's really hard to do that. Because that's their attitude toward it. And what I'm suggesting with this is, you can do whatever you set your mind to. So your can-do attitude is, I can. Yes, I can do that. Yes, this thing that is before me is fully within the scope of my powers, which happen to be unlimited. But the focus that I'm seeking is in me to create that outcome. So I have the ability to make that happen. And you have to start with that kind of a can-do attitude, or the problems overwhelm you. The challenges become the focus. But the focus is, no, I can do this. No matter what it is, I can do this. And with that attitude, you get an outcome that is probably in alignment with that very idea. The idea of dealing with stress is always easier if you believe you're bigger than the problem. If you're looking at something and you think that that's so ominous you don't have any idea how to deal with it or what to do, that's fine not to have an idea how to deal with it. But you must immediately know that you're bigger than it, and it is not in charge of your outcome. You're in charge of your outcome. And so when those problems happen, you just work them out, and you're ready for it. And that comes from a can-do attitude. Know your intended outcomes. This we talked about before, but it's still incredibly important to understand that having a desire is not an intended outcome. If you put your energy into wanting something, then what you get is the energy of wanting. So you must move beyond that, and you must envision the outcome that you seek. You must have a clear idea of what it is. Now, it may change. It may change 100 times. So it's not that important that it be the absolute all forever outcome that you're seeking. Just that today, with what I know and what I feel, this is the outcome that I'm calling into my experience. This is the outcome that I'm working toward. And you should make that as absolutely solid for you as though it is the ultimate of all time outcomes. And then you find out that there's other information, there's other parts of it, there's other things to know about it, and you learn these things, and it shifts you a little bit. Well, you know what? I'm gonna rather than saying that's my outcome that I'm seeking, I'm really going to do it a little bit to the left. Okay, nothing wrong. We're revising these ideas in our minds all the time, but you must have an outcome in mind. You must have that intention to work from, even if it morphs, even if it's flexible and stretches into different things. It's okay. That's not a problem. You're still moving in that general direction. You still learn, and part of the process of creating anything in our lives is a learning process. We have to be open to the possibilities of it. And apparently, someone said those are infinite. So, some of you may not have been here yesterday. So the idea that we're working with here is that having an outcome that I absolutely intend to experience, to have in my life, is the only way I'm going to get to anything close to that place. So, and here's something that's not an intended outcome. I'm going to be healthy. That's just too vague. You know, when you're creating an outcome, it has some pieces to it. And that's what I want to go through with you now. This is called the SMART approach to intended outcomes. And it would be that your intended outcome is specific. It's not general and vague. Because you want a compelling reason to get to it. And the more specific you are about what you want, the more chance you are going to be able to get there and get to it. So the idea of specific also is how we refine it. Could it change? Again, yes, it could absolutely change. But at the moment that you're putting it out there, let it be specific. Know what color it is. Know what every characteristic of it is. Know when you're going to be there. You know, there's this thing that creates this conflict in people in our movement because when we do spiritual mind treatment, we know it's so now. But when you're creating outcomes, one of the specific things is to know when that's going to show up, that or sooner. But that by this date, this year, whenever it is next year, by March 30th, 2019, this will be achieved. What does that do? Well, that's create some tension, which is good. There's nothing wrong with this tension that we're talking about. The idea that what you want is out there and where you are is not at that same place. When you claim it and you're very specific about it, there creates a tension, and that's good because if you think about like a rubber band, when you pull it and create tension, where does it want to go? Closer to each other. And that's what you're creating, is a sense of tension that will draw you toward it, not one that will stand in your way. It's a good thing that it won't be until March 19th, because you got some stuff to do. You got some stuff to think about, some stuff to create out of that. And in the meantime, the universe is responding, and everything is happening that's supposed to happen, and you're learning. But that tension of that place out there where you are specifically knowing it's going to happen helps you do that. Now, Does every time I write down a date on an intended outcome, do I achieve it by that time? No. But I guarantee you, I'm closer than I would have been. Sometimes I get there before I was expecting. Oh, whoa, that's okay, that's great. You know, and then you regroup from that position. But if you get to the place and it hasn't happened, you don't beat on yourself, you don't make yourself wrong, you don't say that God doesn't work, you don't say the science of mind is full of garbage because I did this and it didn't work. That's not it. It's that you want that tension to draw you closer to it all the time and to draw it closer to you. Specifics really help with that. So writing them down and having this well defined is great. Actually, I should probably have talked about dates under measurable, because a date would be a measurable. But whatever else is measurable on it is good to put in the specifics of this as well. Things like the qualities that I'm going to experience when it shows up. That's measurable. Am I going to have that sense of great joy and accomplishment when this is complete? You bet I am. That's measurable. So whatever the terms are that you want to put down is something that you can say, okay, this is what I see happening, and then when you get there, that or something more wonderful happens. That's measurable. So you want a measurable. Specific and measurable are two of your characteristics in creating this. Attainable. Now some say, you know, shoot for the stars and maybe you'll hit the moon. Okay, that's all right. You can do outrageous things. I love to do outrageous things. I love to have crazy things on my list that I really want to do. And I want to know that I have the ability to attain them. You know, I had this great desire in me, and I wrote it in my work on my outcomes. I was going to meet Sai Baba, and then he died.
Oh no.
Well, I had nothing to do with it. But he left this world, and I never did get to meet him. I have many close friends that have spent time with Sai Baba. I had to be okay with that. That's not wrong. That's the beauty of expectations, is that they're great to get you motivated and moving in the direction of them. But if something happens and that's not going to happen, don't lose sleep over it. It's okay. I gave a great talk on Sai Baba after he passed. You know, it was mystical to me. So I had that connection, you know, well, I'm there. I'm going to tell that story real quick. I think I have time. Sai Baba made his transition in the same week that Osama bin Laden died. So I contrasted their two lives. And I thought it was a fascinating thing, because they both had a lot of money in their lives, but look how they used it, and look what they brought, and look what they brought, or look at least what bin Laden brought down on himself. Where when Sai Baba passed, they had these massive events in his honor for all the good that he brought to the world. And those two were a real dichotomy that they would go at the same time. So I ended the thing with vibhuti. Some of you know what vibhuti is, let me tell you. Yeah. Sai Baba used to just sit and put his hands out like this, and this ash would fall from his hands, and they would collect it up. And they said they had like 55-gallon drums full of vibhuti. And I was downtown once, and a friend down there that owns a shop, and he told us about the vibhuti. I'd never heard of it. And he said, I'll bring it out. And he brought out this little container. And he took a little spoon and had us hold our hands like this. Barbara and I were there. And he put a little thing of vibhuti in my hand. And I looked and I said, what do I do with it? He said, you eat it. Okay. So I just licked it right off my hand, licked it clean. And I held my hands there, and we're just talking and all. And I looked back down, and there was another pile of vibhuti. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Oh,
So I had acquired a container, this beautiful little wooden container of vibhuti, and Sai Baba had left, and so there wasn't going to be any more vibhuti. So rather than covet my vibhuti, I had everybody that day come forward. Yeah. Anybody in the room that day?
Yes.
Y'all remember? So I took I got me a little spoon, Yes, probably it was a Coke spoon, but I never used it. And I took my little spoon, and people came up there, the center right in the center, and I gave each one the amount I was given the first time I did it. And it was interesting, at the end of the celebration, everybody that had wanted it came up and got it, and I tapped it, the little box on the corner, and I poured it into my hand, and it was a perfect portion. Just like all the others. And we ate the vibuti and celebrated the life of Sai Baba. And what a mystical experience to do that. It was just lovely. And today I have more vibuti than I've ever had.
Just briefly, for those of us who don't know who Sai Baba was.
Sai Baba was an avatar, an Indian mystic, who had a real sense of himself. Once he was asked, why can you do all these mystical things and we can't? And he said, oh, it's very simple. I know that I'm God. You just think you're God. And, you know, okay. And so he touched many, many lives all over the world, built hospitals, did all kinds of amazing things. So he truly was one of those avatars of our time. Anyway, I don't remember why I was telling that story, but it had something to do with intended outcomes. Oh, I'm in the middle of this, aren't I? I should continue with that. I've got to tell you though, that was fun. Rewarding. Whatever it is that you're setting as an outcome has to have rewards. You don't do it because somebody else needs you to. I'm not saying don't help people. It's fine to help people, but don't build your life and the outcomes of your life out of someone else's dictating to you what that should be. It should be yours, and it should feed you to the depths of your being by being, not only by attaining it and achieving that outcome, but by the path to get there should always be rewarding. You should always, as we talked about last week, celebrate your accomplishments even along the way. Okay, so that's that, and then time-based, that's where I should have talked about time, about the idea of using a set point in time. And again, the beauty of this is, don't get rigid with it. Let it help you, make it a tool. You know, I've found in using physical tools that if I use the right one, the job is easy. If I don't, if I pick something else to get the job done, it's hard, and things break. You know, so the idea of making it work, to me, is a smart idea of making your outcomes specific, measurable, attainable, rewarding, and time-based. Okay, there we go. Let's look at number 3. Identify what motivates you to be successful. Our lives fit together like a matrix or something like a puzzle. And when we have the separate pieces, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It does to some degree. But the master plan doesn't show up until it's all together. And what there is in that master plan of your life is something that feeds you, that juices you, that excites you. It motivates you. It's different for everybody. Thank God it's different for everybody. We don't have to do the same things. We don't have to have the same desires. We're all on our own path, and it's all God's path. It can only help if you imagine that there's an outcome out there that you want, to think about how that fits into your whole life structure. How is this thing? And I always do it by comparing this thing that I call an outcome to my purpose. Is it in alignment with my purpose? Does it fit the fabric of my life? And if it does, it's worth it. If it doesn't, I'm gonna rethink it. Because maybe that's not, maybe I just think that would be cool to do. Because God knows in my life, I've had plenty of things that I thought were cool to do, but I wasn't highly motivated to get to them. So what is the thing in the fabric of your being that is calling you? And I'm avoiding the word why, because we're going to do that in another one of these. But it's really about what excites you. What thrills you about this? Well, how can you get really into it even when it's not here yet, when you're working on it incrementally in your life in little pieces? How is it that if you're writing, that you really want to get up at 5 and do that, when you'd much rather get up at 8? You know, what is it that motivates you to move forward? What excites you? How do you feel about this trek that you're on to do this work? That's what I believe that this one means. Be self-confident. Absolutely, it's our job to know who we are, to know that we're bigger than the problem, that that whatever we face as a challenge is not insurmountable. Never, ever, ever, ever is anything insurmountable. And that by having a sense of ourselves and feeling good about ourselves, that helps us attain the things we want in life. If we have a lesser opinion of ourselves, if we don't feel confident in our abilities, and maybe there are abilities that are being called on, we're being called on to show up that we've never developed. That we maybe don't know how to do something that needs to be done. But do we have the self-confidence at that point to learn it? To research it, to study it, to know what it is that I need to know to get where I want to get. I think one of the coolest things about having any kind of a major outcome in your life is that you have to grow into it. You don't just go get it. You have to change to open up that possibility in your life. You have to change by becoming more centered in who you are, more aware of how you fit nicely with this outcome. And as you grow in that understanding of yourself, and it really all is built in confidence, as you become clear about that, you grow closer and closer to it, so that when it shows up, it feels so natural. You don't have to go, hey, look at me, because you got there because it's your place to be. And to me, that's a sense of ourselves, sensing that we really have those abilities within us. That idea of us being the presence of the divine is not just a notion, that it's a reality. It's a pragmatic tool for understanding life. That the presence of God dwells at the point of me and dwells at the point of you. Your job is to know it for you. My job is to know it for me and for you. Okay, so that's what I get out of being self-confident. Here's the why. Know why you're determined to achieve this outcome. Why is such an interesting notion. It's subjective. And it doesn't mean that the why that you would state if someone said, so, why are you so keen on doing this? It doesn't mean that won't change. It could. But having a why am I spending all this time, all this energy, all this prayer work, all this clearing my mind and everything else I'm doing to get to this place? Why am I doing this? What do I get out of this? What's the payoff? And as much as we talk about money in this class, please don't let that be your payoff. Let that be an auxiliary part of the process, that because you're doing something you love so much and you give so much of yourself to other people with it, that they will pay you good money to do it. Yes. I gotta tell you, when Brian Byra said to me, made me promise him that when I begin this public speaking career that I'm never to take a fee of less than $5,000. I had to breathe into that. Yeah, I had to breathe into that. And it hasn't happened yet. It's still evolving. But the idea to me makes a lot of sense. And I remember when I asked him if he would come to California and do a board breaking with 700 people at the Asheville Market campground. And he said, are you paying for this? I said, well, there's an amount. And it was $5,000. And he said, no, I can't do it. And he was so joyous with it. It wasn't like he was too good to do it for that. He has standards in his work. Isn't that great? Isn't that, I was not offended. I was like, I love that you won't come do it. I'm not sure what we're going to do. And he said, well, you're going to do it. I am? And I did, and it was one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life, having over 500 people chanting and clapping and screaming people's names, and just coming unglued when someone would break through a board at the end. You know, it was, those of you that were here the first night, you got a sense of that. Imagine that with 500 people. And there's nobody for me to turn to and say, what should I do next? It was just me. And it was just so glorious. You know, that was one of those moments. And I didn't know how to do it, but I learned. And I was glad to learn. And boy, he grilled me too. I did sessions with him in our sanctuary where I stood up on the stage and talked to a crowded room that he was the only one in, and told the stories he said I should tell. And frankly, that was such a growth experience for me. I have such gratitude for that, because it was his material. I had to own it if I was going to get there and do it. or I'd do something entirely different. And I wasn't entrusting myself to do something that I wasn't trained to do without following the guidance of my teacher. And he was, and it was brilliant. And again, one of the most wonderful moments of my life, of being in that exhilarating space with all those people. You know, you're having those things in your life too. This is what we do. This is when we have an outcome that we are so, and yours can be very gentle. It doesn't all have to be screaming. But whatever it is that really is your why, know it. Be able to say it clearly. This is why I'm doing this. And if you can do that, then you're headed in the right direction and you shouldn't doubt yourself for a while. Number 6, avoid temptation. Because the devil when we set outcomes in our lives, they're only going to be in 4 different things. They're going to be about our health, about our money, about our relationships, or about the work we bring to the world. That includes everything that we do. Some of it overlaps, of course, but there's nothing that doesn't fall in those criteria, those categories. So when the idea of temptation is to think about this thing you're calling into your life. Let's take a normal, simple one. I'm going to lose 25 pounds. Someone could easily have that kind of an intention. I'm going to lose it by the end of the year. If that were my intention, there are some things I should clearly avoid. And not, how much victimizing do you feel when you have set this intention to modify your diet so that you're going to drop the weight, and then you find yourself in places where high caloric intake is just part of what people are doing. It doesn't make any sense, so don't go to those places. In this particular model, don't allow yourself to have to struggle. I mean, and how much of that do we put on ourselves? All of it. Because no one makes us do anything. Nobody handcuffs us and carries us into the chocolate store. If that's something we said we're not going to be doing. No, we walk in there ourselves. So the idea is avoid any temptations that you can anticipate. They'll still happen, but as best you can, don't be improper about it. Let me read you my examples. If you're in a specific eating plan, get rid of the foods that you've agreed not to eat. Like, don't leave them in your house. If you're quitting smoking, don't have a stash of cigarettes hidden away somewhere. Don't have ashtrays around. Change the environment so that that it doesn't even come up. If you're abstaining from alcohol, don't have a liquor cabinet. What a concept, right? So, and whatever else that you're setting forth as an outcome, don't set yourself up for a loss. One thing that I think is alluring to people is to say what they're doing is hard. Because it somehow up-levels their commitment to it, because this is... No, it's not hard to do. It's only as hard as you want it to be. Or as easy as you want it to be. It's up to us as to how we set ourselves up, but the idea of setting up temptation is really counterintuitive to trying to accomplish anything. All right. Create and follow your plan of action. The outcome that you seek is wonderful, and it's out there, months or maybe even years away. And your intention is to get to it. So you set specific intentions for when that will happen. You understand the specifics of what that is made up of. You've done that work. But then you have to kind of do that reverse planning to know what the stages are so you can identify them. What are the stages that you're going to have to go through? What are the medium steps before you've achieved this outcome? If there's none, then probably you should get this done tomorrow. But if it is something that's going to take you longer, I've certainly been doing that with this speaking process, is working on this website, figuring out what needs to be there, understanding the contractual aspects of that kind of relationship, knowing how to set up my finances and my books and all the other things that are involved in that. Which social media to be on, that one actually came into this process. Where do I want exposure so that people can find me easily? Those LinkedIn is the thing they told me I had to do. Know nothing about LinkedIn, but I've saved about 100 invitations to LinkedIn that will all get activated at once. So, whatever it is that you're moving forward in, you really need that plan of the steps. Now, will they change? Yes, of course they'll change, and you'll modify them. But by having that you know what your short-term intention is. What's the first thing that's going to get done? And once you've got that and that's handled, then what's the next thing? And somehow what this brings to it is an additional dimension. Yes, you're definitely intending to have that outcome that's out there 18 months away. But having these interim steps to take makes it more real, because you can see you've made your progress. When I go to the website's still in process, it's still being developed. But I go there just to look at it and say, okay, this is my website. And that motivates me maybe to make suggestions about how to shift things or what I'm going to do in this certain part, and that's all good. That makes it more real. Especially when Brian said, you can go out in the world and do this when you have a website. So that's an easy step to figure out that I got to have. And everything else that I've got to do to be ready so that I look like a professional when I do this. So that my conversations with potential clients, with clients, are show that I have the expertise to do this. So that's the work. And you've got something like that going on in your world too. Somehow having that planning is going to help make it real. Yes, Jane?
You have a very specific goal.
That's all outcomes are specific. That's the point.
Very concrete. However, what if you have, it's like it's not a clear goal.
Then you're going to work on it and get it clear. That's the first work, and that's good. It's not a bad thing to have some vagueness there, but that's telling you that you want to make it more real. You want to develop it in mind, in your thinking. And once you do that, because you can't get to a vague place. There's no vagueness out there to go to. Really? Really. So what you want to do instead is work on becoming specific with it so that it demonstrates to you that you're in control of this, that you're creating it, that this is your project. You may be getting all kinds of help from the universe, but still you're in charge. Your consciousness is driving it.
So so what I should do is work on having it become specific.
Exactly, that's your work. That's your work. And think about when you do that, how different it feels.
Yeah.
How much clearer it gets, how much more real it gets when you do that.
Yeah.
And still you're in the level of mind. It's not which could mean all kinds of things are happening, but just the feeling of that, just being in that idea of it more clearly makes it more real. And that's what you want. Okay?
Okay.
Create and follow your action plan. And this thing has stopped again. Okay. Well, that's certainly a problem. It's not so good. But would somebody go plug that in for me?
There you go.
This is important. From the time that wherever you are at this moment, to where you want to be, it's not going to happen if you're not really paying attention. Because you get distracted, because there are temptations, because you had this stuff to do and it didn't quite get done the way you would like it to have gotten done. This is not about judging yourself. This is about knowing where you are. You must know where you are. If you don't know where you are, you don't have a path to get to where you want to be. So by monitoring your progress and celebrating the wins and engaging the things that haven't worked out, you're actually making incredible progress. Always. Not wishy-washy. Be honest with yourself. Not in judgment, but be honest with yourself. And that'll help you through it. Create new patterns of behavior. Do you know what patterns of behavior are?
Yes.
Habits. Habits. You want habits. You don't want the same old habits you've had all along though. So how do you change from the habits that aren't supporting what you want to do and the habits that you want? The point of this is that if you commit to a change in how you handle something, the first thing you have to be is completely conscious as you're doing it. The reason that we have habits that don't support us is we go brain dead, we go comatose. We don't think about what we're doing. You know, some people have for 20, 30 years had a cup of coffee and a cigarette at the same time. They don't know how to do one without the other. You know, that kind of thing. Those are unconscious habits of things that you do, and those don't serve you anymore. Maybe they did at one time. But those that don't serve you, you have to consciously change. You've got to pay attention to what you're doing when you do it. And when you create that different thing that you want to be a habit, it's not a habit now, it's a single action. But that's the thing you want to become as a pattern in your life, to be habitual about, is this thing that you're not doing right now. So you have to be very conscious of doing it. You have to set everything down and focus on that and create that in your life. And when you do, and you do it long enough, they say 28 days is it, I don't know, but if you do it long enough, it becomes your habit. And then you don't have to think about it. But until then, you do, every time you do it. Certainly being on a different food plan has done that with me. Make contingency plans is number 10. Now, that may sound somewhat negative to some of you, but it's not meant to be that. It's meant to say that the more, this thing of developing your plan, if you can foresee possible things that wouldn't work, don't be afraid of them. Don't think that you're bringing them more fully into your mind if it's a problem, because the problem is not the focus. The challenge that you can imagine is not the focus. It's what you would do if that happened. Like when we were building this place and we ran out of money. We had no contingency plan. And I've never been so stressed in my life, thinking, well, we're not going to get to finish? And it happened twice too, so we have a pattern. And in both cases, it worked out because we didn't stay in that place of not knowing, but it would have been easier had we had a contingency plan. If I had said to our banker, so if we run out of money, are you going to help us? The first one would have said yes, the second would have said no, but I would have known. I would have known. So contingency plans just make you more well informed. It doesn't mean necessarily that thing's going to happen. Chances are, 99 out of 100 it wouldn't happen. But think about it and say, what would I do if that happened? And have that plan in your mind. That if things go this way, this is what we're going to do. And then let it go. And don't hold on to that, because if you ever need it, it'll show back up. You won't forget that you had a plan and what it was. But at the same time, you won't be surprised and shocked and off balance when it happens. Okay. Those are your 10 things to look at. Now, I had kind of an issue with this willpower in that it didn't sound that much different than self-control, but apparently it is. So here's what I learned about willpower in preparing for this class. Willpower represents the psychological energy that one uses to resist temptations in order to achieve desired outcomes. Self-control depends on, this is interesting, self-control depends on a limited resource that operates like a string. A limited resource. Willpower is a limited resource. And that fits perfectly into principle. Because Holmes told us not to try to accomplish things with willpower. What I've learned about willpower is that it's just an exertion of energy to not accept a temptation and go in a direction that will not get you where you want to go. That's basically what it is. It's not that strong. Actually, your imagination is stronger than your willpower. Your ability to imagine, you read the story in the book about the skyscraper climber.
Right.
His imagination took over. This could work out very poorly for me. I could die. And the whole idea of letting your imagination, which is so powerful and so useful in so many ways, take you down a path you don't want to go. And all you've got to fight it with is willpower? I don't think so. That's not gonna work very well. I'll stop soon. So here's what, I'll take out a piece of paper. Take out a piece of paper and a pen. We're gonna do a quick exercise. So here's the answer to how to not get caught up in a willpower situation. And that is really a conservation of energy, and it's called doing one thing at a time. So, and I have a Plato quote for you. Do one thing and do it well, is what Plato said. How many of you think you're good multitaskers? All right, all right. So I have a task for you. Don't write anything down yet, okay? Can you read that? Virginia's for love.
Is that Virginia or Virginia? Virginia. Yeah.
It's there.
That's numbers from 1 to 19. Okay? So when I get my timer here, I want all of you, again, to write your those exact things on your paper.
Okay.
And so it's Virginia's for Lovers, 1 through 19. And I'm going to give you the word go, and when you are complete, raise your hand, and I'll start calling you out at the time. So we're ready to go? Ready? Go. Raise your hand when you're done. 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, whatever you, when you raise your hand, the number I was saying, and the amount of seconds that it took you to do that, write that down. How many seconds did it take?
I don't know you. Did you count?
Put down 30. Okay, we're going to do it again now. Not yet, because you're going to do it a little differently. This time, what you're going to do is you're going to go from the two things, the numbers and the letters, back and forth as you write them down. So you're going to write, don't write it down yet, I haven't said go. V, you write down a V, a 1, an I, a 2, an R, a 3, a G, a 4, okay? And it's going to look the same, okay? You ready? Go. Okay, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, you can stop.
Yeah.
Who did it faster the first time? Isn't that nice how y'all raise your hands? The second time you were multitasking.
Yeah, true.
Or what some people call switch tasks.
Yeah.
That was good.
It's not as good.
No, I mean, it's a good
Yeah,
exercise.
the fact is that you are much more effective doing one thing at a time. That's where you get your work done. That's where, and creating willpower has that. So 5 quick ways to increase your willpower. Oh, no. Huh? I want to share a little bit more information. I'm trying to finish up here. Average number of conscious thoughts you have in a day. Who knows?
1. 65,000.
4,000. Average number of interruptions to a typical workday. Scratch rate. 43. Average loss of time from multitasking. 28%. Because you're trying to do two things or more at once. Never works out better. Multitasking, we did that. Ways to increase your willpower. One, learn to manage stress. Stress is the biggest problem with having willpower. Remember, willpower was a limited resource. If you're stressed, you wear yourself out, and then you don't manage yourself well. So manage your stress. Stick to your plan. We talked about that before. Have a plan, stick to it. Get more sleep. Actually, if you don't get a full 8 hours of sleep at night, you're actually sleep deprived, and it has a major effect on how you're living your life and the choices you're making. It's amazing. I've just been reading about that. It's just quite amazing. Meditate 5 minutes a day. No. 5 minutes? Yes, 5 minutes a day. Settles your mind down enough to make a difference in your stress level, makes a difference in your ability to function. Meditate 5 minutes a day, and you don't have to do it forever. Just a couple of months of doing 5 minutes a day totally change how you function in the world. Eat better food. I guess that's going to come up a lot, huh? Apparently it helps you by being properly eating. Your ability to process things is much easier in your mental activity. Okay. What do you know?
Yeah.
More information. All right, cool. Thank you for your kind attention. That was fun.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Take out what you can give. We're going to chant our way out of class.
Cool.
I want you to have your checks written out. You might want to consider doing that before you get into class so that you can stand up so that I can ask you, are you ready? Yes! Are you ready? Yes! Then the universe says yes. Yes, say it. Yes!
Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! I feel and know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the increased income program of our class, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is. I know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today